Today we've brought in the last teacher here for the Holstein School, Mr. Al Gaiman, and what I wanted to do is he's been nice enough to come in and share some vital stories. He's got some great, robust scenarios that he's been through, and really what we wanted to do is he's had a phenomenal life of contribution both pre, during, and since the school, but it's a massive piece of the history here. So he's been kind enough to come in and be able to share some of those stories with us, and hopefully we can have a few of those today and just capture them so that we know what the history of the Holstein School really was. As we move forward and go on into the future, we can capture both the history here from our firm, but mainly from Al and all the lives that he was able to affect when they were here. So with this kind of richness, I want to introduce Mr. Al Gaiman. He's a teacher here and a wonderful citizen of our community. So Al, what was it like being the first teacher here? What do you want to open up with?
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
No one really realizes the historical background of country schools.
Yeah.
And at one time from 1950, there were over 7,000. There were 14 in this surrounding area, just
Wow.
think. And Holstein School, of course, being a part of one of those.
Wow.
That was unreal.
That's amazing.
Anyway, when I'm from Anigo in
Yeah.
Wisconsin,
Absolutely.
a farm kid, and 5 children in our family. And fortunately for my mother, she insisted that we go on to these 2-year normal schools.
Yeah.
Every county had a normal school.
Yeah.
So being on the farm and going to school, that's what we did. And through the 2 years, I just enjoyed myself, and fortunately too, one teacher led me to say, Al Gaiman, you should become a teacher. How about that?
Wow,
You
that's
become a teacher.
amazing. And your first response was what when they said you should become a teacher?
And didn't think too much about it. In fact, I had gone to a Christian school, and he thought I should become a pastor.
A pastor.
All
Ah.
right. So anyway, the two kind of,
They're hand in hand.
lead
Yeah.
into each other. So after, it was in April, and my last year, the 2 years, and here the superintendent, Mr. Calhoun, comes up and he said, here, Mr. Gaiman, here's a job for you. A little 3x5 card printed out. Holstein School, Mequon, Thiensville, Mequon. Where is that? I never left Anigo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So he said, you take a day off, and here's the phone number, and you call and arrange to meet the school board.
Yeah.
So I did. I came down, and I found Holstein School here.
Wow.
And I met with the 3 school board members. That's
Yeah.
what they were. That's how the country schools operated, with those 3.
Was that
And
Egelhoff's part of that?
yes, Ted Egelhoff. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was very, very important. And at that time, they said, here, Al, you take this along home with you. And they sent me a contract. With me to take home, and then I could send it back.
Wow.
Okay. And in this contract was kind of interesting because it's Holstein School District number 6, town of Mequon, Ozaukee County.
Yeah.
Mr. Al Gaiman. Yeah. And commencing on the on September 8th, 1954.
Wow.
And there we are, for $325 a month. Now that was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
You can. What I found out was with a 2-year degree, that that was exceptional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're talking about some of the other jobs that you were considering.
I was offered $200 a month up where in Anigo.
Yeah.
$1,800 a year. So look how much more this was.
325.
And
yeah.
the school board was, this district was very gracious to me. Every year that I would come back, sign a contract,
Yeah.
well, they would add another $1,000 And not only that, I'd have a Christmas tree in this corner here.
Yeah.
And they'd put $100 bill
Oh my
on,
goodness.
on the tree for me as a bonus.
That is a great
So
deal.
when I left here, I was making over $6,000.
Wow.
And a teacher with a bachelor's degree, when I found out I had to consolidate,
Yeah.
I was way above, so I had to take a $2,000 cut,
Oh, you did.
but I worked it out.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But,
now, when you left here, why did you have to leave here?
All the schools, the government, the public education closed all the country schools.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, there was everything had to close up, and they gave a 1-year extension for some schools.
For a couple of them?
Yeah.
I remember, Al, you told me a story about when we were here before, about how the assistant superintendent came in trying to help out, and he went up in your attic and took all your stuff and burned it out in the barrel.
Yeah, the custodian.
Yeah.
They closed that school to within a week.
Oh.
And I had, I'm from Annie, of course, went back, but I left all my neat collections of pictures and stories from children, and my all my planning from daily, all got burned up in the garbage container back here.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and what a loss that was.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and I had those collections in this library of historical things.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was quite a loss.
But he was just trying to be helpful. Didn't have
Sure.
any idea.
No.
But he burnt up. Because I remember Al was telling me about some of the history that we don't have at the school, simply because they came in and tried to be helpful, and they really took everything out and tried to get it all set ahead of time.
I have to visit the Historical Society here in Mequon. I believe they do have some. Coming from Anigo, and of course coming down to really a new community, it's like day and night.
Oh, I bet.
In a way, with the culture, and it still is.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a change.
I bet.
But I came down here, and from a farm, and being poor, I had no place to stay.
Oh, yeah.
No place to stay. So I would sleep. I brought a sleeping bag along, and I would sleep on the floor, on the wooden floor,
Yes.
a night or two.
Oh.
And then I would take my car and I'd drive on a side road and I'd sleep. And I did that for over 2 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
And in the meantime, I was picked up twice by the sheriff. He said, if I catch you again,
Fugitive.
trouble me.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So the third time he did find me, and he said, where do you work? I said, well, I'm a teacher at Holstein School, Mequon. Well, don't you have a place to live? I said, no, I really don't. And I really didn't know really about renting.
Yeah, right.
being a
What
farm
was
kid.
that? Yeah.
And he said, well, who's your school board president? I said, Ted Egoff. Well, I know Ted Egoff. I'm calling him, so they called him. Anyway, gracious. Ted was very gracious and gave me $50 and to get going.
Oh, yeah.
And in the meantime, by the way, in weekends, I'd go home and my mother would pack enough sandwiches, so I could eat a lot of time,
Yeah.
lunch, and then, or I'd go up and get a hamburger up at Pinky's up there in Thiensville.
Yeah.
But that was it. And then that was a real door opener for me because Ted introduced me to his mother, and I moved in with her.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that was really, really special. Well, the end of the road down here.
Yeah.
The Egohoff place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was that right down by, was Albanisa's there, the restaurant?
Yeah, in back of it.
Yeah, in back of it.
Go east.
Yeah.
That house.
Oh, my goodness. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and I lived there for about 3 years,
Wow.
and then I moved to the farmhouse, the Clausens, right over here,
Oh,
and I
sure.
stayed there for a year.
Is that right?
So you can see, I said I never closed school a day.
yeah.
Never.
'Cause you could
Only
get
an
here.
ice storm,
Yeah, you could get
2
here.
days, and
Wow.
otherwise we all walked.
That is
See?
impressive.
Isn't that, yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if any of the kids got dropped off by the parents, or did they all just walk from where they were?
Mainly walked.
Did they?
They all walked.
And
yes.
how close were those the closest houses when you were here? Because apparently there's a big neighborhood around here now, but you said none of that was here.
Yes, yeah. There was one little subdivision. There was 40 acres here, and then a little subdivision with about 3 homes up here on the west side of the road.
And that's it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, everybody walked.
And one of the a gracious family were the Balistraries. You've heard
Oh, yes,
Balistraries.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was kind of special. But before the day school started, I'd come down a week early.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to visit every family.
You went to visit every family before the
Every
school season.
family. I met the mom and the dad.
Wow.
And I wanted to see the children and for them to meet me and who I
Yeah,
was,
yes.
you know. And it was just something that was so special. So
I
when the
bet.
children came here, you know, they were, well, who's going
Yeah.
to be this guy?
You're going
or
to spend a whole day
whoever.
with this guy.
Yeah, yeah. So, and what was so unique about that too was when I would go over there, how many of these families would invite me for, they called it supper? Or
Yeah.
dinner?
Yeah, dinner, yeah.
You know, and to be with them
Really?
and to find out, right,
Oh,
just how their
wow.
families, yeah.
That's depth that today the teachers don't get. You actually were part of the family almost in some scenarios, which was
yeah,
outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the country school, you know, is a pivotal part of the community.
Yes.
This was it, you know, your festivals, your Christmas plays,
Yeah.
your picnics. I can't tell you. Now, this building here, when I had Christmas, the plays and the songs of
Yeah.
Away in the Manger, Silent Night, and they couldn't all get in.
Really?
They couldn't get in. And
Wow.
and end of the school year, you'd have a picnic, and all these parents, we'd set up these tables outside, and they'd bring all their luscious dishes of food, you know.
Oh, man.
And starting at noon, and then running all the way till like 3, 4 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And you had all those old-fashioned, had these races, sack races, and
Oh, yeah.
gosh, it was
That'd
it
be
was
just a
hilarious.
blast.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like more than just a teacher. You set up a community, and it was, you guys were integral to each other. So the families, what you did, it seemed like it was all supporting of each other. I mean, is there anything that you can say, like any unique events you guys had where you thought, like you're talking about, any stories that came from those? You go, that actually, I remember this story from the Christmas event or from one of the kids, or anybody ever tell you about those? Anything?
Oh my gosh, do I ever?
Do you really?
That's one of the best feedbacks that we get.
Is that right?
I get, yeah. Yeah, you know, growing up a farm, my parents instilled family values.
Absolutely.
And fortunately, God bless me that I could pass those on
Oh, yeah.
to all the kids, the children that
Absolutely.
I met all my 40 years of teaching.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough that I could share it in a neat way that was meaningful.
So Al, today there's quite a few kids who need extra attention. Did you ever have any kids who had special needs?
And I always had a special heart for kids that had special abilities that
Okay.
couldn't meet the standards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and because I know what I went through when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and so I always reached out.
And a special
For
heart
those
for
kids,
them.
yeah.
You did.
Not in this school, but I had one of the first children in a wheelchair in Mequon.
Really?
Yeah, and they placed him in my classroom, and I'll just linger on just a little with
fine.
this
I
kid.
love it. That's great.
But
Please.
this boy is in this wheelchair, and his love was to play softball. And I coached softball.
Oh,
So I put him on the team. And he came out with practice with me. The other kids would wheel him out,
oh, wow.
And I would have him bat. And this one occasion, he got up at the plate and he ticked the ball across, and he hit the ball, and another child wheeled him to first base, the second base, and third base, and home, and all those kids just got up.
Oh,
and then,
my goodness.
And then we had an assembly, and I had all these kids on the team sign a ball for him.
Yeah.
And he was called up in front of that whole middle school.
Wow.
And they all stood up, and he got this ovation. And then I got back to the classroom, and he puts his arm around, Mr. King, come here. I love you. He said,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, that was a real
That
jerker.
is absolutely
jerker.
awesome. Teachers are often there to teach a subject. Al was there to make great people out of them. And just to give you, he'll tell you more about this, the example of checking to make sure they were groomed well. He set the example in some of his pictures by always being the one. He's got a picture here of his very first class, always being the one to be wearing the suit and tie right off the bat, which is pretty amazing here. And Al, why don't you tell me the story about what you used to do? You checked in the grooming of the kids, or you give us you told me some good story around that. Well,
okay.
Give me an idea of what your thoughts were, or how you did that.
Well, number one, of course, was we got to be proud of our country.
Oh, yeah.
And we had that flag and the pledge every morning.
Awesome.
And I always had leaders.
Sure.
Okay. Kids put them out in front to say that pledge.
Yeah.
And then after that, right, I was always concerned about health.
Yeah.
And I would make sure that the kids had washed their hands, they'd open them up, check their fingernails.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be chewing on them. You brush your teeth. Now I had a chart.
On the wall, right?
On the wall.
That's great.
Everyone I'd be checking off. Okay.
Is that right?
And a child wouldn't miss doing. They did everything.
Oh, yeah.
So they had that checked every.
Wow.
But yes. Yeah.
That's
Today we couldn't do it.
outstanding. No.
The privates.
Yeah, I remember you were telling stories about that.
Yeah.
But what that kind of does, it shows your investment in those kids and how much you cared. It wasn't just, did you learn math? Did you learn reading? It was, are you becoming a good person? Which I think really exemplifies
Absolutely.
it.
And the other thing is, I wanted to always impress on these kids about fellow man, that we help each other. We're servants.
Yeah.
And that's why 8th graders would go down, and work with a 1st grader in math or
that's
reading
great.
in 2nd grade, and that giving and taking and understanding these different individuals that we were at that time.
And Al, there's 2 levels of the schoolhouse here, right? So you're talking about 1st graders and 8th graders. Give me an idea of how it operated. Did you operate with all the kids on the upstairs level, or what did you use the downstairs level for? How did you operate?
Through 1954 through 57, I had all the children up here.
Oh, you had them all on the main floor.
All up here, okay, until it became like 42, I believe.
42 of them.
And then the school board decided to hire another lower grade teacher.
Oh, sure.
Grades 1 through 4, and that's down on the lower level.
That was where they were.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was like a little gymnasium down there.
Oh.
And it had a little stage down there,
neat.
see? So we turned that over into a classroom.
Oh, yeah. So then you
Grades
had the
1 through
kids,
4.
and that's where your 8th graders would come down and help the 1st graders read.
Well,
and all
mainly
that.
with me right here.
Oh, when you were here.
When I was here.
So having them help them
that's
as
right.
well. Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and they talk about individualizing and things today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would always have, I had blackboards. Where?
All
Just
on that
about
south side
all
of
the way
wall?
around, yeah.
Really?
And in the morning, you'd have to come here, get all your lessons and everything on those boards.
Oh, yeah.
But I would be teaching one class, and then let's say math,
Yeah.
and I'd have another class, 6th grade, going up there while I was teaching 7th grade around a table. We always had, in most cases, we had a table in front of the classroom.
Yeah.
And reading, okay, and your math, the kids would all come around you.
Right.
Okay, always. You were always facing them.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'd have a group working on the blackboard doing their work.
Oh, sure.
And new assignments or what took place.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So what did as a teacher here, what did a typical day look like for you? When did you start? What time did you finish? What did the day look like?
Many times, a little after 6 o'clock, you were here.
You're here right away?
Yeah. I would plan between 24 and 27 lessons a day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there were combinations. Well, let me just back up. First of all,
Sure.
reading was so valuable. So
Oh,
reading
yeah.
was taught separately with each class, okay?
Yeah.
First, second, third, fourth, all the way up. And 1st and 2nd grade got reading twice a day from me.
Wow.
Twice a day. Yeah, morning,
Wow.
and the first thing in the morning, and then first thing in the afternoon.
You bet.
Okay? I saw the value of that at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we would have combinations like science, 1st and 2nd grade,
Yeah.
and a 3rd and 4th grade science,
You bet.
and then maybe 5th and 6th, but 7th and 8th they were separate.
Okay.
And social studies
Yeah.
also would be a combination. 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd and 4th, 5th
Yeah,
and 6th.
right.
And with your textbooks, and you'd alternate then. The next year, you
Oh,
would have the odd year. Let's say there's an even and odd.
Yeah.
That they would be able to get the whole curriculum.
Yeah, without
Uh-huh.
a doubt. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So now what did you finish? What time would you be done?
Generally, it was always after 3 o'clock. I think it's 3:30.
3:30 you were
Yeah.
done? And were
Yeah.
there sports? Were there anything that occurred with the school at that grade level? Were there sports you had afterward, extracurricular activities?
What I
or-
did, of course, not only I said with the curriculum, I was responsible for teaching art,
Oh, yeah.
physical education, music, okay? And at that time, in the country schools, our School of the Air from Wisconsin had special programs,
Oh, really?
okay? Let's Draw, for an example, for art
Oh,
at times.
fun.
Let's Sing, Ranger Mac, conservation.
Wow.
Oh, yes. And and we'd get a manual, and if something was really, let's say, would entwine with the curriculum,
Yeah.
we'd listen and we would do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
became
really
very
cool.
valuable. But then of course, I always had to be out with the kids at recess.
Yeah, what did recess
Morning.
look like? What did you
And
guys
recess was always, we had the merry-go-round,
do? Yeah?
the teeter-totters.
Oh, sure.
Okay, the slides. But most of the kids played ball.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, we played softball outside. Yeah.
And did you play it out back then?
Out-
Down by
out here.
the parking lot
Yes,
now?
mhm.
Oh, that's fun.
And then we would get a team all the way from little 1st, 2nd graders through 8th grade to make a team. We'd play other country schools.
Oh, fun.
We'd come, they'd come over here.
Yeah.
We would go over there. The other thing I did, I talked to the school board if I could get some ping pong tables.
Oh, sure.
So I made the tables.
Oh,
I made
cool.
them myself, 2 of them, 2 boards. And so I'd invite other schools over
To play ping
to
pong?
play ping pong with the kids in the afternoons. And then, of course, I was quite a basketball player.
Yeah,
when
that's what you
when I
said.
went to college, they allowed me to play. High school, they would not allow me to play.
Oh, is that right?
Because-
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, I took the children, all of them, 1 through 8, all the way up to the town hall in Mequon,
Yeah.
in Thiensville.
That's quite a
And
trip.
the mothers would come with their cars and dads and
Okay.
take us up there for an hour, and about twice a week in the wintertime. Yeah,
Oh, really?
for sports. Hmm.
Somebody I heard one time you had I don't know who I heard this from, but you had a game going on one afternoon, and some of the administrators stopped by, and you weren't supposed to be having a game.
That's right. That's right. This is a big part of my physical education. I said, now you watch these children.
Yes.
If you want to see some enjoyment,
yes,
and skills,
yes,
taking place. Yeah.
That's outstanding. I heard a couple of those stories where, I wasn't supposed to be outside with him, but he was, and the administrators came by, and you had that.
Yeah, we had, the county, we had county supervisors and a county superintendent and a county health nurse. So the supervisor would come around every once in a while, you would never know, and would sit down for a good half a day and supervise your teaching.
Okay. Really?
As well as the superintendent.
Oh my goodness.
Would come. And the health nurse, she would come, once or twice a week, every other week, and make sure that you gave those goiter pills.
Oh,
we
really?
had those goiter pills for children, see.
Oh my goodness,
yeah. Oh, that was very, very important. And I had to have a chart, made sure that everybody got
had
those,
theirs.
and she would check that off.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Al, you told me too about, kind of interesting about one of your classes where you had a bigger kid come in from South Dakota. And you were talking about that one. You said, yeah, this kid came in and I told him he had to do something, and he said he was having none of it. Now, back then you could deal with things a little differently, couldn't you?
Yes. Well, that was very interesting. I was fairly strict. I was pretty strict in discipline.
Yeah.
But I always had a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I had a lot of fun with kids. Anyway, they came from South Dakota, and somehow he got into a little situation that I didn't care for, and I said, you're going to be staying after school. And I always greeted the children when they left here.
Yeah.
I always said, good night, name them.
Yeah.
And here he comes. And I put the farm kid, he tried to bust through, and I dragged him back up in here, and he sat. Not only an hour, 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, that's outstanding.
Double time.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, but after that, I said, really, I've never had any discipline. I love, when you love kids, you don't have problems.
No. Well, and you gave him the discipline because he needed it.
That's
and they responded well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He really did. Yeah, and I know the parents, thank me because a lot of times it carries over to
Well, that's where you
places.
knew the families too before.
Oh, yes.
So it wasn't like you were foreign to this. Now, I think there was another story too about maybe during the season you happened to see some kind of bird out there, and you decided what happened with that? You okay with saying that one?
Yeah, I was a hunter all my life up north. We had pheasants and we had partridge and deer.
Oh yeah.
And so I did hunt a lot of pheasants and partridge as a young kid.
Yeah.
So when I came down here, wow, all these pheasants I'm seeing around here. So I brought my little 16 gauge shotgun and put it in that corner.
Is that right?
So one day I looked out the window and I saw a rooster.
Sure enough.
I said, I'll be right back.
Pop! And you got it, right?
That was for supper.
I love it. I love that. Well, those are things you could do when there was no neighborhood around here, and that's just what the country school...
There was an open 40 and a big fence line, that ran along this area here.
Now,
and two of all these farms and families, they were used to pheasant hunting. I'm sure. Yeah.
Now, did the fox farms still exist
when
you were here? So the silver fox, so across the road.
The one where the Clausens, that was empty. Okay. The foxes were gone, but the one farther north, that had various types of foxes. Yeah.
Any of them ever get out and run around here?
Not that I'm
No,
aware
it's
of.
okay. I wasn't
They were
sure if
lucky.
that- yeah, because they were lucky because I know somebody who might have picked them off. Yeah. So the gentleman whose family owned the Fox Farm, they'd invite you over there from time to time. Was that the Froms or was it a
Yeah,
different?
it was in the From area. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it was
right.
in the Froms. Yeah, because that's interesting. The Froms still have a dog food place over here as well. And I know 100 acres was bought up by a single individual, and they made a lake and all sorts of stuff here. But they had to dig all the mink and fox cages out that were buried a foot in the ground because the mink would dig and burrow, and they could get out. So they had to cage the whole things to have them in there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a crazy. So with the school, was there anything unique about it? The building, things that happened, anything you think of that's just kind of a neat thing or worth sharing, or any certain class you had, or you run into your students later on in life? I think you're.
Well, what was unique is I think when I became the custodian or janitor too, you take pride in your building.
Oh yeah.
And that I did. I always made sure that everything was always so clean.
Yeah.
Of course, and I had to shovel the snow.
Oh yeah.
I had to paint those steps that went downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
I had to paint the bathrooms every year down there.
Yeah.
Cleaning the floor every night, and an 8th grader always assigned to take it out and burn the trash.
Oh,
Could
is that
do that.
right?
And
Wow.
a responsible person could do
Yeah.
that.
So when you would come back for the next school year, you'd go back up north and come back. When would you come back, and how would you prepare?
We bought everything for the children. Okay, just about everything.
Really?
So I didn't realize it until I got here. And so fortunately, I had a 47 Studebaker, the president, first car.
Nice.
And on the way home was Valley School Supplies in Fond du Lac.
Oh yeah.
So I made a list of all the stuff, pencils, papers, no matter what, and all the workbooks that you needed. And I'd load that car up, and then I had to make 2 trips with all the supplies. But I said it was very, very blessed to have a situation like that. I said in this school. That's what made it so special here.
Yeah.
So even if families couldn't afford it, it was here.
It was
for
provided.
them. Yeah.
Did this school have any kind of reputation? This school, out of the 14 in the area, did it have a reputation as anything, or was there anything unique to it?
I didn't share too much with that. Okay.
Yeah.
I did visit some of the other country schools, and I could see there was differences, but that was not me.
Yeah. It just wasn't yours.
I just kept it to myself.
Yeah. So this one provided a bit more, just did it in a different way.
Right.
You guys, you kept it unique to your place.
Yeah. But thank you for bringing that up, because that was such a unique situation, that rarely do you ever see that happen, in a country school.
And you were also saying that in the corner over here of the building, you built your own library.
Yes. So I developed this library, and I developed a Dewey Decimal System for the children.
Go back in here.
Way back in here. Yeah. Look at that.
Wow.
And then I had a little chair back in there. They could go back and read when they were finished with their work.
And that was their reading.
Yeah, a little reading time, and to get out of their seats, encourage reading.
Yeah. Wow. And that was unique, and that's just something you did. And then there's a picture on here of Al, the basketball player, taking somebody to school on the basketball court, which is pretty amazing. And there's funny, this window here.
Yes.
I just took it out last year. You see the new front door. I have it out back as well. So I'm preserving all that stuff. Even keeping the window and stuff here. It's kind of fun to see as you put some of these things together, and some of the old classes that you've got in here as well. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's really unique.
Here's another little picture.
Of the building
up there
itself.
back at night. Yeah, of the building.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Yeah, and here, brought with my wife. I brought her
Oh my goodness.
here to see, we got married in 58.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And they decommissioned the school in 60?
Yes.
So you were a teacher for 2 years? And what did she, was she a teacher? What'd she do?
yes, she's a teacher. Yeah,
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, she's taught over at St. Paul Lutheran in
Oh, that's
Grafton.
fantastic.
30 years, yeah.
Boy, I see pictures of the school, which is kind of funny, the old one, and it hasn't changed a whole lot. You know?
And I looked at the front as I walked up, you know.
Yeah.
I love those little cracks in there.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think about repairing it all the time. I'm like, man, it still looks like that.
Yeah.
It's got to keep them
Oh,
pretty
gosh.
authentic.
Yeah. Wintertime, yeah, had to shovel all the snow out, you know.
Yeah, and you had to shovel it where the cars parked, because the cars parked on both sides of this, couldn't they? They could pull
No,
up either way?
there was only one little parking lot right
There's
here.
one.
Just for my car.
Nice.
That's all.
Just for the teacher.
Just for the teacher. No.
Well, and then, so there's no, on the side, they put in a little garage, and they, so what was this? When they decommissioned it in 1960, you said right away, I think it was used as a home right away, or it was some government agency?
Yeah,
you
government
said, too?
agency came in here. Yes.
Came in right away?
Yeah.
And then,
A few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was telling Chris, I was offered this building
oh yeah.
for $5,000.
Did that seem really expensive at the time? Did it seem pretty
For me, it
reasonable?
was.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it was.
Yeah.
This district, hosting district number 6,
Yeah.
we were going to build a new school. We bought 10 acres on the other side of the road here.
Oh, sure.
And
yeah.
so, we had it all really set to go. But Mequon Thiensville was, Mequon was growing, so they built Oriole Lane School in the meantime.
Oh,
See?
they did, yeah. Like
So then we backed
50
off.
something.
And of course, at that time, it was interesting. Quite a movement took place in 59, 60, in that era. From Whitefish Bay, Shorewood, people started moving out
Yeah.
into the country. See?
Yeah, right.
And of course, what happened with the country school? Well, we didn't live up to the curriculum. We didn't
Yeah.
have a Phi-Ed teacher.
Yeah,
We
you
didn't
weren't
have a
like the
art
wife.
teacher.
Yeah, right. Well, no, you did, but they were all you.
But they're year to year, first grade, the second grade, the third
Wow.
grade, you know.
Yeah.
And then you could individualize. You
Yeah.
knew their strengths, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you knew that family and that child. I'll
You
tell
knew
you.
what to do
Oh
with each
my
one.
gosh, that was really key. You
Well,
know.
and you just met one of the students in that picture who was
Yeah.
up at the American Legion.
That's right. Yeah.
He's a bartender?
Al Richards.
Yeah, Al Richards. Which
He was
is
in the
kid right in here.
Yeah, he was in the one of the Air Force. You know.
Yeah.
Army. Yeah, 20 years.
That's
and
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
and I
awesome.
just met him.
With the
And
community
he said,
school.
Yeah, he said, Mr. Gaiman, he still calls me.
He's still, yeah, of
It's
course.
the best time of my
That's
life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So Al, when you came here, what I understand is this was just a school in a big field, grass and all over. So how did you end up playing sports here and having an area the kids could play in? What did you do?
When I first came down here, I said I love, sports and things, and where are the kids going to play? I mean, that grass and weeds and everything. So right away I hopped over went across the neighbor. He was a farmer, and I explained to him that I had lived on a farm and I could run machinery, and
Yeah.
if I could borrow his tractor and mower into it. And I said, sure, go ahead. So brought the tractor over here, and I mowed all that grass out to the road there. All of this here for the kids to play.
Oh, yeah.
And the next day, I went and I got his hay rake, one of these little dump rakes. They're
Yeah.
called. I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
seen
yeah,
those.
I've seen it, yeah. You
One
pick
person
up-
had to sit on, and you
Yeah.
had to push a pedal. And I made some little windrows, and then he helped me. He came over with his tractor and wagon, and we loaded that on so he could take it back and
Wow.
feed his cows.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
Yes.
So it was good for both of you.
Yeah, and I had to do that every year. Those are great memories. And as you said, when I meet these children,
Yeah.
that have gone here, and they're always so proud. And they said, "Boy, that was the best back education I've had for a long time." And it's not that. It
Standing.
wasn't me. It's the values that you
Yeah.
impress. You can get marble and you can see it wear away, and temples burn down, right?
Yeah.
They go down, and brass will turn colors, but values always are building and building.
They stay there.
Blocks. Those are the blocks of our life.
And I think the key is too, you're very humble about this, but it's definitely you invested in the kids and the community came back and invested together, and you guys really built something special here at what I call the Holstein School community, if you will. And there's the thing is, I get clients now who come back and this elicits their memories. My clients are all 65, maybe 70, 60, and when they went to one-room schoolhouses, I have 2 desks out here. I think one was from here, they say, another one is a client brought in to say, this belongs here. I've got a bell, I've got all sorts of stuff. I got the 6 books of reading lessons from back in the 1950s and 40s. And you kind of, it really, there's a special place when people see it. It sets them at ease, you know. So whether it's a hair salon, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, whether it's a artist studio, whatever it has been and become, it's still got a special place, which I just think is amazing. And what I appreciate is your time, your commitment, your sharing all these memories. So these are really fantastic because it only adds to the value of this. So this was a wealth management firm, but I view wealth as it's mostly not money. The true value is in the relationships, the stories, the kids, the people you invest in, and the lives. And the fact that you affected all of these classes, which is really phenomenal, and you still see them around from time to time, you just kind of wonder, where did they go? What did they do? But I'm sure all being by here in the Holstein School with you had a wonderful, wonderful impact. So is there any last thoughts or stories you'd want to share when we're...
Well, I just said it's really unique that you invited me. Thank you very much, because as I look where those brings back a lot of great memories where the girls had their coats and their lunch boxes out there, and the boys on this side.
Yes.
You know, they were always separated.
Yes.
And coming in as you walked up with the beautiful floor that was always covered with hardwood floor.
Oh, yeah.
know. And then too, we had said with those bathrooms, that was very special at that time, where they were really updated, you know.
Yeah.
They were class 1 at that time.
Yeah.
And with the oil heat, and then the equipment that I had a film projector.
Wow.
I had a machine that lithograph was it called? But I could run off things.
Oh, yeah, mimeograph.
Mimeograph.
Yeah.
I could run and run it off for children, extra things. And
wow.
other schools, you didn't have that.
No.
You know, this school really provided me with whatever I needed.
What was great about a country school and different than it is today?
Well, we all can express our love, for each other.
Absolutely.
Help each other and reach out. And most of all, like our kids, be servants.
Absolutely.
That's
the
who
key.
we are.
Servants, contribution, strong family. And when you look at that honestly, what does our country need when we say that there's some problems? I'd say you probably named the 4 most important pieces right there. It's togetherness, community, understanding that differences can bring us together rather than tear us apart. But these are all timeless. And the topics you taught there are timeless things that we need today, which we even propagate. We continue to teach in what it is we do here. So it's amazing how when I first met you, I thought, oh man, we should have recorded that, because I couldn't remember it all. So that's why I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to lay some down, because it just becomes something in the fiber of what we have as well. And I think that the richness of what you've done with the students, the memories, the weaving it into the family, how you've carried this through to your family, these are timeless. These are things that I think we appreciate, we need more of, and we'll share with our team, our staff, so there'll be 300 or 400 or 500 people that will know about what's occurred here, and it only adds to the building, adds to the place. The place is in and of itself, it's not important, but what it is it's the home to remind us of the memories that came from it, and that's where the richness occurs. That's where when you can pick out a kid in the picture and you remember their family, you ate dinner with them, you sat down, you remember when it snowed, they couldn't come, you remember all these things with it, which is great. That's a really special part of it as well. So Al, I want to thank you very, very much for really coming in and answering some of these questions, for your time, for your sharing, which is kind of fun. Even some of those controversial things like the pheasant hunting. Those are super special to us, and I really appreciate that part as well. So I just want to give you a big thank you, and really anytime you want to come by, talk about it, you come up with a story, we just love to hear it, because it's such depth, we view it as Holstein School, what we can carry on that you started here. We want to continue to do that. So thank you very much, Al.
Thank you, and fortunately, I said it was led to the right person.
Oh my goodness!
Preserve this.
Oh my goodness!
This complex, really. This is really.
I appreciate that as much as we can. We're going to keep this thing good for as long as we can.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank
You
you very much. Thank you, my friend. Awesome.